welcome to the Holding Hands and Throwing Fists podcast. I got the mic.
And I have the opinion.
Friends and listeners, welcome to Season 10, Episode 3. Here we are.
We're on a motherfucking roll, babe.
I feel it. I feel it going. We got some good momentum going into this one. So let's get right into it, huh?
Yeah.
The next great potential MMA event is 2 weeks from now. So we're not going to cover anything current in this episode. We are going to follow advice from a bunch of our longtime listeners and friends and even some new ones and get really basic on what MMA and the UFC is all about. There's a lot of great fights coming down the pipe in the next few months, and we're leading up to UFC 300 in April, which is currently shrouded in mystery. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to stray from the notes and say, I have watched. Oh, damn it! I said your name.
You bleep that out, mister.
UFC.
But you actually do it this time.
UFC 100 and UFC 200 together live.
Wow.
And who
UFC
knows?
300.
Maybe we'll watch UFC 300 together.
Maybe.
So we decided to go back to the beginning and watch UFC 1 together.
What?
Melissa has said that even though she's our number one listener, which is a big statement, she still doesn't know anything about MMA, which I find hard to believe. Mm-hmm. Andreas has sent us multiple ESPN articles, especially one about this thing explicitly demanding this segment earlier this month. And JP, who accidentally heard us for the first time, said he feels way lost on everything we're talking about, but we're sweet co-hosts.
Hey.
So on our 144th episode, let's give the people what they want, babe, and let's talk about UFC 1.
Wow. UFC 1. I can say I never watched it in its entirety. Certainly have seen clips, probably when we watched UFC 100 and 200. Mm-hmm. And that's because UFC 1 took place November 12th, 1993 in Denver, Colorado. Denver had been chosen because Colorado had no athletic commission and therefore no governing body from which they would need to get approval for bare knuckle fighting.
Classic.
The crowd had 7,800 people. Just for reference, the most recent UFC event at MSG had over 19,000 fans. And then, side note, because when I found that information, I also wanted to tell you that the UFC now holds the number 1, 2, and 3 positions for highest gate history at Madison Square Garden. That is wild.
Pretty insane.
But also goes to show you how much they overcharge for tickets. So fuck you, UFC.
Yeah.
But also, back to UFC 1, babe.
All right, so we're going to get into the format, but I also figured I should even just take a step back.
Another step back.
MMA stands for Mixed Martial Arts, right?
Yes.
And I know this is a little rudimentary or elementary, but it's mixed martial arts. And this is it. You're mixing the martial arts because we had 8 fighters from different backgrounds, including boxing, kickboxing, savate, karate, and jiu-jitsu. Savate, I took a savate seminar a while ago. It's like it's French kickboxing with shoes on.
Where did you take it?
At Anderson's. It was pretty cool because you could kick with your toes and you could body kick someone like on the side, like I'm hitting you right now.
Yuck.
It's pretty sick. So yeah, that was the mixing of the martial arts, and this promotion that they put together was the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC 1, right? And it was heavily influenced by jiu-jitsu from the start because one of the organizers was Rorion Gracie, who obviously was a jiu-jitsu guy, obviously a Gracie, who was helping put UFC 1 together just to prove that jiu-jitsu was the best out of all the arts.
All right, so when we were watching, we got to know the 8 fighters who were part of UFC 1. We had Ken Shamrock, Patrick Smith, Royce Gracie, Art Jimerson, Kevin Rozier, and Zane Frazier. Also on the card, Gerard Gordow, Talia Tooley, and that was everyone. Before we get to some of the fights, this is Holding Hands and Throwing Fists. Get to some MMA fashion for UFC 1.
Dude, you know what's really cool, and I've noticed this for a while, but the whole thing just had very American Gladiators vibe.
Interesting.
Right? Don't you think so?
Interesting take.
It was pretty freaking cool. I mean, they were missing out on the singlets and stuff like that. But it was American Gladiator style. The logo itself was like a guy, like shredded animated figure. Which is pretty badass. The octagon, which is crazy that they designed the octagon from UFC 1. Like,
yes.
They didn't implement it later, which is like pretty sick. But it has so much padding all over the place. And it also looked like, even though there was a lot of padding, it looked like if you still hit one of those posts, it probably hurt like hell.
Yeah, I wasn't quite tall enough. Like, George's dad definitely put it together. Like, it didn't look professional at all, but it did the trick.
And if you look at the rules, it was like no doping probes, which is awesome. No holds barred, no biting, no eye gouging, but also no mandatory gloves or combative uniform. So people were wearing like whatever they wanted. So Hoist wore a full gi with his black belt, which was a brilliant marketing tactic, right?
I think actually Ken Shamrock's MMA fashion in just like a little Speedo number was also very interesting.
He wore that his whole career. The dude who fought in the finals against Hoist, spoiler alert, 30 years later, walked out with like white pants, like white gi pants, but also just a white towel. And I'm like, and every match he came out to with a towel. It's like, bro,
that was Gerard. We also had Art, who came out and was also known as One Glove because he literally had one boxing glove on.
I think we'll get to it later too, but Queen's Correspondent Andreas sent us the article about it, and his idea was that he was going to jab with the glove and until he peppered somebody and then knocked someone out with the ungloved right hand.
What an idea.
More on that
What
later.
an idea. All right, back to some MMA fashion. Come on.
So the ring announcer, I forget his name. That was like Rich Goins, I think was his name.
Wow.
He had a pretty awesome blazer. And they should bring that blazer back. It had the octagon like heat seal on the left chest. And he was wearing, what do you call it? Is it a mock collar? Mandarin collar, maybe? It's like not.
It was?
Yeah, I think it was a Mandarin collar, which looked really good. He looked freaking awesome. And then the desk crew, Kathy Long. There was a woman on the desk in UFC 1, which is amazing.
UFC 1 was ahead of UFC 297. And not only was she a really good commentator, she had a background in kickboxing. And her outfit was incredible.
Her outfit was incredible. It didn't look. She looked definitely 90s, but it doesn't look dated. She
it
was
does
wearing
not
a dope,
look dated. It was an eyelet button-up vest,
sleeveless,
in white. Very interesting. She looked great.
Yeah, she was awesome. And then everybody else was just kind of suited up and stuff like that. The whole thing had like a pageantry type feel anyway, and they awarded Rorion Gracie, who's like him and his brother were the founders of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, whatever. They awarded him with a Lifetime Achievement Award, and it was very like Greek prom style. It was very much like just old school 80s, 90s, like it kind of changed the rhythm of the night and stuff like that, but he deserves it. Helio's the man, and it was super cool.
And the event was still only with all of these fighters fighting their first match, their quarterfinal match, their semifinal match, and then the final match. And the whole event was still an hour and a half with this presentation.
Yeah. And all the walkouts. And then the last thing I have to say for MMA fashion, because it was compelling for sure from a marketing perspective, was the Gracie train.
Oh, yeah.
So, choo, bro. So, 8 Gracies came out together, something like 4 in the front, 4 in the back, and then Hoist was in the middle. And they were all wearing mad 90s windbreakers that said Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and all matching beanies, everything, the whole nine.
They looked
and he was
great.
in the middle with the white gi and the black belt. Fucking awesome. I want to make some windbreakers.
Oh, I want to start a choo-choo train.
Come on, ride that train.
All right.
Choo-choo.
Listen, I know we didn't tell you a lot about the fights because they all ended basically in under 30 seconds. It was kind of a shit show, but weirdly not as big a shit show as you might imagine when someone who is a boxer and only a boxer is going against someone who only knows sumo or whatever. So we're not even going to get into like the nitty gritty of the fights. Let's just get to the fucking winner, babe.
Who won, babe? Let him know.
You let him know. Didn't you already let him know?
It was Royce. It was Royce Gracie. Jiu-Jitsu won.
Are
and
you
proves
kidding me?
that the smaller man who knows how to finish a fucking fight will do it.
The smallest man out of the 8 fighters at UFC 1.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible.
Because he had a way to finish. That was the thing.
All right. Did you want to give a little more one glove information?
Well, this is your part because it's in your color. So I guess I'll just...
it is!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I went colorblind for a second, friends.
But I could tell you that he beat Art One Glove Jimerson just by mounting him. He didn't even finish him. I totally forgot that this happened. He just got on top of him and he gave up. And then he submitted Ken Shamrock in his second fight by using his own gi. I'm pretty sure it was like a weird, like a modified Ezekiel or like something from the back, but like kind of side back thing. And then he submitted Gerard Gordeau in the last fight as well. But it really made me think watching these fights, you know, that if you take any of my guys, if you take Ethan, Zeke, Saeed, Martin, probably not me, but maybe me, and you put me back in time, we win UFC 1. Like, there's thousands of people in the country now. It's not even just us and our gym or whatever. There's thousands of people in the country who, if you teleported them back to UFC 1, they would win. Because it's crazy that fighting has evolved and mixed martial arts in the UFC has evolved so much in the past 30 years. But it truly has. It's insane that you can finish a fight.
Yeah. I think as we were watching it, you even said, like, there is no one in the UFC or any MMA fighting organization that has no jiu-jitsu experience. Maybe there's still white belts out there, but they have some experience.
Something, yeah. That's what kind of stood out in watching the fights, is that there was confusion on, like, where they started and where they... Well, I think it was pretty clear where they started, but where they ended was pretty freaking weird. Like, the very first fight, someone got their teeth kicked out, and, like, he put his hands up and, like, turned away, but, like, they didn't really call it right away. They didn't know where to stop it.
Yeah, but the commentators knew it was over, but the referee didn't know the rules enough to know that the fight was over.
Yeah. And then what happened? Ken Shamrock tapped. Royce was like, stopped, and then the referee was like, why'd you stop? And he's like, because he tapped.
But Ken Shamrock owned up to it. He's like, yep, I tapped, it's over.
Super respectful. And then Royce in the final match, and this is still till this day a big thing with MMA, in the final match, because he knew what happened in the second match where there was like the uncertainty, he held on to the submission while that guy Gerard tapped like 7 times because he wasn't letting go of the tap, so that there wouldn't be any confusion until the referee stopped it.
Yes. So live watching it, that is what we thought. Today, when I was doing my last minute research, I learned that yes, he wanted to confirm that the match was officially stopped and it wasn't going to be some bullshit. But at some point right before Gerard was going to lose, he knew he was going to lose, and so he was playing a little dirty. He bit Gracie's ear. And
that's one of the only rules. He bit his ear, huh?
Yeah. And the ref didn't see it.
And then no way, because I saw it. I noticed it when Royce was giving his post-fight post-fight interview. They kept touching his ear with like the towel and stuff like that. I didn't know that.
I know. So look, we're still learning about UFC 1 30 years later.
Good, bro. Payback's a bitch.
All right. I wasn't even thinking about this actually when we were watching it. But when I knew we were going to record today, I'm like, I wonder what happened to all these people after UFC 1 30 years ago. Because when I was looking up the fighters, they're all still only like in their 50s. Mm-hmm. You know, they're like still young people. So here's a very speed rundown of what happened to all of them after UFC 1. Ken Shamrock went on to win the inaugural UFC Super Fight Championship at UFC 6. Gracie went on to have a career George definitely knows more about, but I will tell you that he ended up fighting at UFC 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then in USC 5, he met Shamrock again. And when he fought that time, their fight was ruled a draw. At UFC 1, Gracie won. And then what started in 1993 with their first meeting ended in Bellator in 2016 when Shamrock and Gracie fought one last time, and Gracie won again.
We saw that fight live.
We
Not
must
in person,
have.
but
Art
on the
Jimerson,
TV.
good old One Glove, who lost. He totally went back to boxing for the rest of his career, which was 17 more fights, and only 4 of those were wins. But apparently, currently, he's the head boxing coach at a UFC gym in California now, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Rozier tried to have an MMA career as well as boxing after UFC 1, but he lost the next 5 out of his 6 MMA fights, so not a success. Zane Frazier came back for UFC 9 and lost, and had a mostly losing MMA career in other tournaments. Gerard Gordeau, the ear biter, he went on to only one more fight in a Vale Tudo. Is that how you pronounce it, babe?
yeah, Vale Tudo.
Tournament, and he lost, but he still has roles in MMA organizations that are much smaller, which was cool. And Telia Tuli, he was that guy George mentioned lost with a brutal kick to the head that knocked out some teeth. This was, not surprisingly, his only MMA fight.
Yeah, dude, get out of here with that shit.
And last but not least, Patrick Smith. Where is he now? Oof. Maybe the saddest story of them all, but his career was going strong at 2 more UFC events, Vale Tudo events, Boss Rutten Invitational. However, outside the octagon or cage wasn't cute. Smith was convicted of sexual assault of a minor, and then he died in 2019 as a side effect of his chewing tobacco
God
addiction.
damn, babe, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know. I was like,
Way
do
to
I really
fucking
want
end.
to end on this note? But you know what? I know you're going to pick it up to some positive news after.
Ken Shamrock heel hooked him in UFC 1. That's insane. And then actually, that's also
Heel hooked Patrick Smith.
yeah. And then when we rewatched Hoist versus Ken, Hoist was on the bottom and Ken sat back for a leg lock. He tried to heel hook Hoist, and Hoist kind of used that to sweep him and come up on top. I think the whole game would have changed, dude, if he didn't sit back for that leg lock. But people don't talk about that enough, I guess.
I guess most people have moved on.
No, here I am, stuck in 1993. I was too busy jumping around doing Ninja Turtle shit. All right, MMA Twitter Minute for the week. I was on Heck of a Morning twice this week.
What? Oh my God.
Yep.
Just for reference, we tell you all the time we listen to other MMA podcasts and enjoy them. But I fucking love Heck of a Morning from MMA Fighting. I love Mike Heck. We're very similar people. And George was on his show twice.
Did it for you, babe. It was on Twitter Spaces. We should start our own Twitter Spaces, which would just be Andreas. So we could just call him up instead, but whatever. Who else got Twitter? Maybe Paulie D got Twitter. Let us know in the comments if you got Twitter and you want to do Twitter Spaces. Or BlackBerry Messenger. That would be pretty cool.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
All right. So what did you ask on Heck of a Morning?
So the first time I asked who was the best dressed MMA fighter, and he basically did the roundabout but landed on Connor. It was all right, and I was just nervous, so I didn't even do a great job.
Don't just
of asking
say
the
it was
question.
all right. George logged in as holding hands and throwing fists, of course. So he started with the cool name.
Yeah.
I mean, Av. It's trademarked, motherfucker, though. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's ours.
That's ours. Don't fuck with it. And then he said that Poatan looked like a Billy, like a billionaire, but he landed on Connor, and that was cool.
Yes.
Super nice. And then I said, okay, cool. I got on it once. Now I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get on it again. So I did get on it again. And then I asked you over here, my dear. I'm not going to say your name. And I still got to remember to bleep it out from the first part. And I said, what question do you have for him? So you know, because he's your mans.
He's my mans. I know every Friday is Free For All Friday. And Mike Heck loves a good free for all, meaning the question doesn't have to do with MMA if you don't want it to.
But also, I'm just going to call up on Tuesday and ask the same freaking questions anyway. But anyway, he's recently got hardcore into CrossFit, and he moved away from New England, which I guess is where he's from. I guess from Boston or New England or whatever. So he moved away, so he still goes to Duncan all the time because it reminds him of home. So you asked the question through me, would you give up CrossFit or Duncan? And babe, you really fucked him up.
I know.
You really fucking fucked him up. I should put the audio in, but I've done too much of that in episode 1 and 2, and that would make this episode too good. So fuck that. Do you think I should?
No.
All right.
No.
He literally said, "I guess I'll have to give up Duncan, but it will hurt my soul." Followed by, "How dare you?" And then the rest of the episode, he was just spicy.
Ooh, he was.
He wasn't having
affected,
it. Yeah, he was affected by that question.
Yeah, I almost felt bad, but also that's just what a great question. All right, to move on, we are just throwing in this MMA fashion because George found a post with Megan O'Leary and Dustin Poirier at the Apex. Megan is often known for making our MMA fashion segment, and when she doesn't, she's never a miss. She's always just an or we love it, and that's like a huge success. And she was recently interviewing Dustin Poirier, and boy, was the screen visually appealing.
Damn.
Megan was wearing an animal print blazer with black tank underneath. Very you, Melissa. And while I'm not a fan of animal print, she looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin was in his classic look. And if you don't know what that is, when he's not like suited up, which is pretty rare that he is, he always has a super colorful graphic t-shirt on that fits like a glove. And since he's made this his look, I looked up who designs these t-shirts. He's always in these very similar shirts. So Dustin always wears Robert Graham t-shirts. Have you heard of Robert Graham, or did you look this up as well?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So don't look it up now.
Okay.
Don't. So of course I wanted to buy George one. And so this was like 2 years ago. I was probably looking it up. And that was until I saw the price. The fucking cheapest cotton t-shirt is $98. And then some of the prices, again, just for a t-shirt go up to $138. But when I was looking it up today, babe, they're having some Black Friday deals now. I saw a shirt for $69. Take a look. Interested?
$69, so nice, for sure. That shirt's pretty cool, but I don't want to spend that much money on a white shirt, though. Pretty cool. I like it.
30% off $69 at checkout.
Okay. Merry Christmas to me.
Yeah.
Speaking of the holidays, let's get into our favorite holiday of all. No fighting.
You bunch of fuckers. No fighting. No fucking fighting. No fucking fighting!
All right. This no fighting idea comes to you from George himself, and I fucking love it, which is so interesting because I've already declared that I hate Thanksgiving, but I love this idea. Our no fighting on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving is a Thanksgiving food draft. We're going to do rock, paper, scissors live right now for who gets to go first, and we can each pick 3 food items that are often known to be on a Thanksgiving table.
Are we including dessert or not?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So rock, paper, scissors, just one time. That'll decide who gets to get their first pick.
Let's do it.
All right.
Rock, paper, scissors, says shoot.
Motherfucker.
If you say rock, paper, scissors, shoot, lose my number, bro. It says shoot. Just for the record.
I know. I got a little nervous when we were doing that now because I know we just had this conversation with our high school friends.
I know, but we all say it the same because we're freaking normal people.
All right. What do you want first? This is a big move. Big move.
I actually did not want to win.
You didn't? No, you
I
have
wanted
to.
to go second.
You have to.
And what kind of freaking menu did you give me of like all this ridiculous ass shit?
I put a link for a menu and he's still not pleased.
Yeah, air fryer sweet potato fries. Like what? I'm gonna pick that in the freaking draft.
Go. You're gonna lose your pick.
I'm gonna go pumpkin pie.
Are you serious?
Yeah, there I am.
But if you know you're picking against me, don't you take that into account? I'm never gonna fucking pick that.
I pick pumpkin pie.
Good. Enjoy it. It
Yeah.
fucking sucks. I'm taking a green bean casserole. Number 1 pick.
I'm picking stuffing.
No problem. I don't think I've ever had it because, you know, like Irish Thanksgivings, I guess, are different. But I'm picking mac and cheese.
I'm picking dark meat turkey.
Ooh, I actually could have seen that coming. You won't see this coming. I'm taking whatever sort of sangria is happening that's fall flavored.
You talk about mulled wine?
I don't give a fuck. Is there alcohol in it? That's my 3rd pick.
You talk about spiced wine.
Sometimes it has like a little apple cider in it. I made one year. A ton of fucking apples thrown in.
Friends and listeners, let us know in the comments how badly I beat you in this draft.
We all
Send us
know.
a text message.
Listen, or you could tell us what your number 1 draft pick would be.
Number 1 through 3s.
All right.
This is a packed episode.
This
I
is.
hope Andreas is going on an extra long run today.
All right. He is. He said he actually wanted 25 minutes. What are we up to?
Yeah, Billy Alexander, matter of fact, tell me what the menu is, son.
Oh, true. All right. Last, almost, is the Queen's Correspondent, Andreas, is bringing us an end to an MMA beef that happened over the summer.
MMA beef.
MMA
We haven't had
beef.
MMA beef in a while.
And you know what? I am happy we were on hiatus through this MMA beef, and I'm not going to recap it. But you all, if you're interested in some very uncomfortable MMA beef, you should look up DDP, Dricus Du Plessis, and Israel Adesanya, and they're like little back and forths. So DDP and Izzy had a little MMA beef, but DDP was quoted as saying about Izzy's UFC hiatus, quote, "He deserves some time away from the sport. He earned that as one of the best to ever do it in the middleweight division. Right now, as a person, I do not like Adesanya. But as a fighter, as a martial artist, a guy also embodied the martial artist way, he needs to stay strong right now." Our Queen's Correspondent, Andreas, who shared it with us, said that changed his perspective of DDP.
Pretty powerful, babe. Pretty powerful.
I still think he's a dick.
What's more important than all of this is basically with the new format of holding hands and throwing fists, if you send anything to us, we're going to talk about it. Because we got to talk about stuff, dude. So keep the news flowing in.
Yeah, and you know what? This is just paying it forward. You give really great ideas to Mike Heck, and now our friends give us great ideas. And then friends, when you give us great ideas, someone in your outside world will give you great ideas for something.
I think we got to get on the MMA fighting network of podcasts. I think that's the goal. Because I can't be giving Mike Heck all our gold.
I know, and you've given him 2 pieces of gold so far.
Yeah. But whatever.
I could have bought you like 3 Robert Graham shirts for that gold.
It's all good.
It's all good.
Should we keep going with Martial Arts Book Club or no?
Let's save that for next episode.
Okay, cool. Yeah, who needs reading anyway? All right, love you guys. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk soon.